Hey everyone, welcome to Chat B2B, the podcast that gives you a front row seat to AI and B2B marketing. I'm your host, Andrew Rao, co-CEO of Intercept, and today's guest is Kelly Broili. She's the Vice President of Global Social Media at SAP, and SAP is one of the largest technology companies in the world, and her team runs the global brand channels across LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and more. And in this episode, Kelly shares what authenticity really means on social in the AI era. We talk about what is AI craft versus what is AI slop, how her team is using AI as a thought partner and a production partner, and the practical ways social leaders can keep that human connection at the center of their programs. So if you like what you hear, make sure to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This is Chat B2B. Let's get into it. So Kelly, SAP is one of the largest tech companies in the world, obviously an iconic tech company. And I remember reading somewhere, and I think this still holds true, that 70% of the world's transactions touch an SAP system at some point. And you're on point to run, obviously, social globally at SAP. And so can you just give everyone a bit of a sense of what is that like? Like how the sheer number of teams and the channels and the regions and the audiences, like that's a lot. So just walking a day in your shoes, what is that like?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I've been here in this role about 2 years. And when I got here, actually at SAP about 4 years ago, social is my bread and butter. This is just what I do. We had 306 social channels at SAP.
Wow. Okay.
It was crazy. And in 1 year, we had done 64,000 social posts. So
64,000.
That's kind of a lot. So we were being treated as spam, quite honestly. And everybody treats it as free. Everybody thinks it's a check the box and you push it out and it's a broadcast. Yeah. And I really, when I came here, didn't want to be on social. I fought it like crazy because I've been pigeonholed. And but how was I going to learn the company other than through social? So my first project was a consolidation project. Let me look at these channels. It was org structure driven. Everybody gets a channel. And we started really isolating through data what made sense. And 75% of the channels traffic were driven by 12 accounts. And so we just cleaned house, got really, really smart about it. We are now down 3-4 years later to 50 social channels globally. About 25 of those sit within my team. We are centralized. We own all the brand channels across LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, you name it, all the usual. Yeah. And my team is split 50-50. So I'm in the Pacific Northwest. So I wake up and start my day every day at 6 a.m. And half of my team, literally 50% of my team, it's about a team of over 30 people. And half of them are in all markets, Asia and all over EMEA and then across the US. And so what is our responsibility? We now lead those channels, but what does that mean? We own the creative. We have a centralized agency. We have a small internal creative agency, the Rockstars. We do all social listening, tools and tech, governance, all things strategy, editorial calendars, publishing, engagement. So we are the soup to nuts. We also do advocacy, social leadership, that whole side of things, and hopefully launching things like social stars this year. So lots of big ideas coming in.
Exciting. Just the scope of that. Well, first of all, kudos to you and the team to streamline that down from 306 to 50. Like that's a tough one because everybody obviously wants their own social channel. Like, hey, can I get my own? And so that's obviously navigating those conversations, but really taking a data first approach to saying, well, what's actually driving traffic and what's, generating engagement. I got a ton of respect for what you do because on the social side, you got to move fast. You got to, to your point, it's like you need to have the coverage. You got to always be on. The team has to always be on, right? In some capacity. And you're managing communities too. It's not just, as like you said, is social sometimes is just more broadly where it's like, hey, a bit of a broadcast. We're like, oh, well, just put on social. But you're building community and engagement. And there's no shortcut to that, So there's a ton of respect for the work that you guys do.
Well, it's the algorithm, right? I'm not paying to get in front of you. And if I don't do it right, the pipe gets a lot tighter. And so when you're broadcasting, you're talking to yourself. It's the echo chamber. And if you're not looking at that, if you're not really looking at the engagement numbers, and we kind of know too, driving traffic is really tough because the more links you put in,
yes,
algorithms don't like that either. And so it's kind of a education and game that we are playing right now. So,
well, when you think about that, so over the past couple of years, I'm sure you've seen like just how much has changed. I mean, I'm just thinking about how channels have changed. I mean, Twitter, well, X, I guess, I still get used to that. Used to be a central part of the mix, and now it's like nobody wants it. And I don't know, what are some of those? What are some of the biggest sort of changes that you've seen in social over the past couple of years, and maybe even more so just on what does it mean to be authentic on social these days? Because like I feel like authenticity is always like a North Star for social, but I almost feel like the meaning of that has changed. I don't know what's changed in these past couple of years that you've seen.
I think there's changes social, and then there's changes social SAP. And I think, and then there's where social is changing. And so I think with AI, I'll speak to social at SAP. For us, again, I'll go to this broadcast. We didn't have a team that was engaging one-to-one. We had a team that was listening to risk, crisis, but they weren't listening to the conversation. And now we're finally bringing insights in. And these aren't new in social. It's just new for SAP and social.
Yeah.
I would say the Twitter X thing is a big deal. We're very careful and thoughtful there. We don't want to disrupt any votes, but I do think we definitely have decreased how we play there, and they're looking at new channels like Blue Sky and Threads. And a lot of testing behaviors there, but you're also waiting for people to move. And who are those people to move? And so I think it's a catch-22, but definitely changing. Your dollars matter and where you spend that, and that's our paid side of the house. But organically, it's something we're constantly weighing. Shorts, video, that's always been kind of a big deal, but the role that's playing, I think, continues to increase in how people want to be entertained. The thing I'm hyper aware of now with AI is how do we get cited? How do we show up? Because and that's a whole, hopefully we'll talk about that a lot on this, but that's going to be a big deal with social and how we play there. And I do think too, human. So the authenticity side of it, and I know I'm sure just the AI slop and what it does happen. People are here. They're not changing that behavior. They're changing how they buy products. But I think they're addicted to social, whether they like it or not. But the human connection, there's no other channel like social that connects to the person. And there's something about that to me that's a really big deal. And if you do that right and don't lose that human side of it.
There's so much that's packed, man. I'm going to, I want to ask you on the really building off of sort of that human side and balancing the fact that social gives you, instant reach, right? Like that's one of the benefits is like you've got all the reach that you want and that you can pay for, but it doesn't change the fact that you have to build trust with people, and trust is ultimately, that hasn't changed, right? Like lots of things have changed. Trust, the fact that people, want trust, need trust hasn't changed. So can we start there? Of how do you balance that? Because I feel like going back to your earlier point on sort of social is like again, just more broadly as an industry, we can think of that as a bit of a megaphone because it's like, oh, it's free, it's owned, we need to build social profile, etc. How do you go about balancing that sort of reach and trust, and kind of tying back to your human connection conversation?
So our strategy for 2026, this is new for us.
Yep.
You earn trust. We're S&P, we are on a B2B podcast. So hopefully people who are listening to this podcast know what SAP is.
Yes,
however,
they should.
I think we are the biggest brand. We're a large company, and the number of people who do not know who we are, my friends and the consumer side of the world, they just don't. We're the guts on the inside of a company. And so when you go to trust, I go to, do they even know us?
Yeah.
So what we're building here is know, like, trust. First, they have to get to know us, and that's reach. So how do we do that well?
Yeah.
Then how do we earn the like? What does that mean? And that's the engagement. So we can't jump to trust. We have to somehow play this. I know we have followers, but we only reach however many of our followers every time we do a post, and unless you're paying for it. So again, it goes into the algorithms. And how do we start to educate people? How do we use these channels? Because we're hanging out where your mom is. We're hanging out where your friends are. This is the channel. We have an opportunity to get our brand out there. And so I would say trust is a huge component of what we want to do here. And that's by being human and authentic and answering a question, enjoying the conversation at the right time. But I think getting people to know and to like us right now is kind of where we're starting. The trust is more that, are we proven in the space? Do we have the awards? Do we have the product to deliver? And that is kind of that later phase. And I'm hoping some of the sales team can do some of that work with us. But
I love I love how you're phrasing that, because I think what you're saying is that trust is, to your point, trust is earned. Trust is the outcome of doing the other things right. So like, know, like, trust. I actually really love that framework. And the point on sales, because they're obviously, when you think about trust, and people ultimately buy from people. So
right.
The first thing you do is, like, a sales rep reaches out, or you're looking up a solution, you probably will look them up on LinkedIn and, like, who are they and how long have they been there? And so I don't know. I'm just curious if you're seeing that too, but sales really wanting to get good at their own individual social and building, like, everybody wants a strategic advisor. Well, a lot of their profiles wouldn't be reflective of that, like, just in general, right? A lot of the sales teams. So are you seeing that too, like, for sales teams, like, sort of reaching out to see how they can sort of spruce up their profile and partner in a way?
Yeah. We have an internal program. It's actually an interesting time. So 2026 is going to be a big year for us.
That's awesome.
We have a program internally called Get Social. You may be familiar with, but it's our employee advocacy program, and that falls on my team. And forever, it's been a program. It's a huge program. But at the same time, our sales team had their own. And so they're both employees and their sales. We have our advocacy program for employees. Shouldn't they come together? It seems like what would be cleansed. Right. And so this will be the year that we're bringing it together. And we actually have the person who's leading on my team, this program has connected with our sales team, and we've consolidated tools on the back end. So we are actually going to do this. Awesome. And so that's this year. It's launching in March. And so I'll be anxious to report back on how that goes. But that's the first step. So tools, tech, key there, processes, and then people. And so processes, how are we going to build this together? How are we getting the content in? How do people know? Is it the right content for sales, for marketing, for the employees? And so we're building that out right now. And then just connecting the people. So how do we set them up so they know how to do this right? So we're also building a SharePoint site. We're going to be hosting lots of different, like, office hours to help people get up to speed. And it's employees, but then also our leadership line, because again, what is AI looking for right now? But authentic voices, validation, and who are they getting it from? But here. So
Yeah, that's a good add on the executive piece, because I agree. That's ultimately thought leadership, right? Is executives giving ownable, it doesn't have to be contrarian per se, but like just differentiated perspectives on topics. So building on that, lots of content, executives pumping out content, sales pumping out content, marketing pumping out content on social. Obviously AI generated content is, there's always like, the good and bad, right? But there is this notion there of AI slop versus this, you had mentioned AI slop versus, AI real craft that is good content that, might be in part produced by AI. What separates good AI content versus bad AI content on social?
I do think I go to visual. The visual is the key. When it comes to copy, we all kind of know, but I think the copy is really good. And I think using AI as a tool for the ideas.
Yes.
All the different ways in to help brainstorm, to help you be more relevant to these audiences. I think it's powerful. I think as a tool, it's incredibly powerful. And even the copywriting side of things. And take this post and help me make it be more friendly as if an employee wrote it. We should be spending a ton of time in those spaces so we can do more human connection stuff.
Yeah.
So that part I think is good. I think when it gets to the visual, that's where it gets a little challenging for me. Two-part. One, is it done very well? You can see, and it's, I think it's gotten a lot better. And then that also makes me super nervous because it's getting a lot better.
Right.
And not knowing what's real anymore. And so, it's a really scary space for me, I think. Well, scary, good, cool, fun. I mean, I've been on Sora and I have fun with my friends. But then I like this,
it's amazing, isn't it? Like it depends on the day. It's like, wow, I'm like super excited. And then other days it's like super anxious, is like depending on what's happening.
Doomsday for you.
Exactly. And I think you raise a good point though around just AI as when you said brainstorm and ideas, and I thought about AI as a thought partner. And I find that a lot of people can see AI as the production side for sure. I think, it's embedded in our processes now. So, and it's a lot of our stuff is AI native, but the AI as a thought partner is really interesting because on one hand, people are like, well, are you just getting AI to do the critical thinking? And my perspective is no, because you need to own your role as the thought leader, right? Like AI can be a thought partner, can help tease it out. And one of the things that we have our models do is actually interview us. So instead of like, hey, do this, blah, it's ask us actually strategic questions to help us unpack what is in our brains that we might not be articulating, So I really like your idea on like shifting the perception. Use it for ideas, brainstorming, that like thought sparring partner, not only crank this out, Yeah. So I guess then in terms of like how, maybe just in general, what are some practical ways that you think teams can be thinking about using AI in social today? So you talked about a few in terms of like copy, obviously visual, but quality, there's a spectrum there. What do you think is working? What isn't? And kind of what are you seeing so far? What have you learned so far?
Yeah, I think quite honestly, right now it's adoption, which sounds crazy, but it's comfort level and adoption, knowing what's available, what's out there, what's possible. And I don't want to say people are still stuck in the prompt because that seems pretty like we're further along than that.
Right.
One thing that we're doing as a team and have been doing, I think for about a year now, because I'm kind of a junkie on this thing to a fault. I love it. But getting my team there was a little bit, they're a little bit more reserved and everybody's a little different.
Yeah.
And so we host a digital deep dive every Tuesday. And digital deep dive, it's a topic. We rotate the topic. Some are fixed every Tuesday. We go through data and reporting and insights. What's the customer saying and kind of thing. So everybody hears it together. We can talk about it.
Yep.
No matter what, at the end of each meeting, we spend 15 minutes and it's hosted by somebody else on the team. And they go through 15 minutes of AI training, hands-on. How are they using it? And it can be personal, doesn't have to be work-related, and it can be work-related. And so right now, it's just the exposure. It's how are people building a slide? How are people looking at their workout schedule? How are they? I mean, it's right now, it's life and just driving adoption and creating the ideas of how it can be used. And then people, depending on their job function, where are they taking it? And so the creator side, different levels of adoption because they're creators. They want to be the creators. They don't want this to do their job. And so there might be a little more pushback. However, it's really great at giving them the ideas and how to, I don't know, I don't want to speak for them, but do the scripts, do that, however they might be using it in that way. I know for me, I've got a project that's been really wild. It's just, I've started working with the AIs to say, how do we show up? And then I ask Claude, how do I show up with you? And then I ask Perplexity, and Perplexity check Claude's work. And then Gemini check both of their works. And then I now have this incredible playbook to go in the next year and say, if we're going to show up, this is what they all say together. And they agreed. And, and then it goes crazy. But on the content side, and just really being, like you said, that thought partner, I feel like I'm way more strategic than I am alone. And so that's for me.
Of course. I feel the same way. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. And I kind of love that. So I don't feel as alone out here.
Yeah. I the 15-minute AI training resonates with me because not only are you getting the team comfortable with encouraging experimentation, and even again, if it's personal, that's cool too, right? Because it's still experience and it is that practical hands-on. It's interesting because, for, I don't know, the last, I'd say 10 years, we never had, or we had stopped our internship and co-op programs. Like we just didn't run them because it was like, it's really hard unless you've got like a really, you've got like the right sort of program set up and so forth to give them the right exposure, et cetera. It's hard to do those experiences right. But we actually restarted ours this year. And it was amazing to see how, like when you talked about like practical hands-on, what are they doing? Like we've got some top students from comp-sci, engineering, business management, and they have all built AI like applications and workflows, and I'm like, what? This is incredible. And so just made me think of that. I think there's like this, a lot of people say like the new grads are sort of jobless and they can't find jobs, but really, if you are experimenting personally, you're building a portfolio and experience that you can really bring and do amazing things and bring new perspectives. So one of the things that our CTO has built over the past few months and into this year, as we test this with a few of our clients, is our own GEO platform that will actually test thousands of queries. Because it's like, well, how do you know? Like we're always like, well, what's statistically significant? And we've looked in, it's essentially around 900 or 1,000 to be able to get that. And to be able to run these prompts and actually get real ITDMs and BDMs to help us understand how they prompt. And we use that architecture to test that. It's really cool to see because there's variance, right? Like you had said, there's between Claude and Gemini and chat, and like there's some similarities, but there's also some differences. So it's really, I don't know. There's tons of stuff here. Are you guys talking a lot about that right now, like GEO and AEO? And I mean, I know that's a little bit more on the
next level.
Search side. Yeah.
I know the search team is, I think everybody, it's more marketing is flipping on its head and fast.
Yeah. Everywhere.
And we have to figure out the new way forward because this is not your parents' digital marketing.
I agree.
And I don't think any of us have the answers. And everything I'm learning to get into these LMMs is not an overnight thing either. It's like SEO. It's going to take months, and how you optimize, and they change so fast. So what you're doing today may not work tomorrow. And so and then what tools do you use? Because there's a million, and then they're all startups and brand new because. And so, what tools are the ones, and what are they doing, and how is it different? Because right now with social listening tools,
yes,
I think I have another now huge project next year. It's LMM listening, not just social listening. And how are they different? And yesterday, even as a team, we were going back and forth, and people are trying to say, we were trying to understand the difference, what makes them different. Yeah. And the one is social. What are we saying?
Yeah.
And the other is, what are we asking?
Yes.
And so what are the questions? What are the drivers of that? And so all human, but so different in its approach. Yes.
It's actually interesting that tying this back to social, I mean, one of the things that we're tracking with this on that side with the platform is understanding the sources that each of the models are pulling from, because that's different. And like you said, it changes based on updates and whatnot, but it's actually spawning a demand for how are we taking more control over Reddit, over Quora, over other platforms that aren't always a staple, right? They're kind of like, that's more community grassroots, but it's got influence and user review sites. And so it's changing,
It's a big deal. And also part of the conversation yesterday, it's the role of your website.
Yeah.
LMMs, why are they so successful? It's not marketing. It is answering questions, right?
Yeah.
It's useful. Everything about it is useful right now.
Yes.
And so we're going to have to figure out how we stop marketing and show up in these tools. And everything that the tools are telling us is, your website matters, but it needs to be validated. How does it get validated? Through Reddit, through LinkedIn, through all these things, but they have to be public.
Yeah.
And then that's how they validate, like SEO kind of things. But the validation part, because the LMMs are only as good as the answers, and we have to trust the answers. And it's getting better all the time. Yeah. But it's because of the work that they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. And to the point on the website, one of the conversations I was having with Francis, our CTO, he was saying, Andrew, the average search number, and now I might be misquoting his numbers, but I'm pretty sure he was saying the average number for standard search is 3 words. And the average search in an LLM is like over 20 or something like that. And so the difference being, before it was almost like marketing was trying to sort of hack the system a little bit of, well, if I say these keywords in context, but I have a lot of them, I'm going to score well. And so now this is actually more about, does your website articulate the problem that they're experiencing and the solution? Like, it's almost like, is it good, helpful, clear content, like basics on that, but it gets us away from kind of like hacking the system of like keyword, ad lib game.
Yeah. It says, what it tells me here, employee advocacy and being able to link LinkedIn indexing on that long form content. That's what it can read and index. It can't do comments. It can't see any of those other things, but it can see that. Executive voices, it really, really likes. It wants customer stories with real proof points. So structured FAQs, bulleted things. So if you think about how it's feeding information to us, that's how we want it to feed information to it. It wants pricing. It wants access. If we put anything behind a gate, It can't.
Yeah, now it's exactly, that was the whole gate thing. And well, we need MQLs and we need to, so that's another one for sure. Oh, that's awesome. So I mean, there's again so much there, and it is changing. It is changing, right? So when you look ahead, then what do you think is the big unlock for AI and social? And maybe we've seen some of it today, maybe we haven't. I don't know. What do you see as like the biggest opportunity that we should be excited about?
I think the biggest thing is, I think like what we were saying, for me, at least, I think it's up-leveling everybody. If we really want to use it, I think everybody is getting smarter together. Hopefully,
yes,
we can do things more cost effectively too.
Yeah.
I want to maintain all my staff. I want to, but do more at less cost, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I want to have more fun. I want to get more time
back.
Like, I'm on that euphoria side where I really do hope we get some more of this time back. But I do think the future here is that human side, that human connection. We have to make sure that doesn't get replaced. And so that's going to be our test and our challenge as we move forward. And again, with social and that combination of social and AI, that is the benefit of what we do. There's no one closer to the customer and a person than we are. And so if we can do all these other things with AI that allow us more time to do that well, we nailed it.
I'm with you. I think it's, I am fully team human as well, because I think it's like, what's the point if, look, I mean, I think it's the whole like job displacement versus like AI versus humans and that kind of thing. But I think it was Jeffrey Hinton, one of the godfathers of AI, that was forecasting within, and this was a few years ago, but he's forecasting that we wouldn't have any more radiologists because AI could basically do that. And we have more radiologists than ever. And I think it's, well, are you automating a task or are you automating a job? Like, what's your job at the end of the day? And for them, it's really about, supporting the patient, right? And I think for here, social is about connecting with people. Yeah. So I think it's like a lot of the tasks will get automated, but to your point, I think you really still need great people, not only because it's the right thing to do, is like we're all in team human here, but it's how you get the best work, and have fun.
Right.
So, yeah.
If we think of AI as the tool.
Yes.
And social media is the connection.
Yes, I know. I love that. I would say the thing that we are seeing social as like some big unlocks is really, and I think you and I have talked about Watchtower a little bit, but one of our research platforms, it's how do we take the social channels and leverage them as a behavior strategy or behavior research, which, we've got social listening, right? Which will tell us, hey, who's an influencer? Who do we need to pay attention to? But being able to run real statistical models on some of this stuff to actually say, that's statistically significant, that is not, and dive into specific topics. So we're seeing that as like really understanding the customer better too. So that's again another thing that we're kind of excited about. But anyway, lots to be excited about.
We're going to keep talking about that. I do want to keep learning about that. So
yeah, for sure. So I guess on the note of humans and AI and all this focus on do more with less, and I cringe every time I say that. No, it's like, well, how much more with how much less? Like, it's yeah. So okay, so if there's speed and efficiency, how do we just make sure that like our team doesn't lose that creativity and the human spark that makes this all work? I mean, I think you touched on this a little bit with like actually investing in people and up-leveling people, but how do we not lose the craft, the creativity, the human touch in all this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's a really good question. And I think we have to trust our gut. We have to know that we know the answers. And now you're going to see a cat. No,
that's the big. A cat's making an appearance. I love it.
I know. So sorry. But yeah, no, I think For me, my craft is social. I've been in social my whole life. I don't ever want to lose touch with that customer. And so I'm overusing this. But when I think of social listening, it's enhancing my craft to understand what they're saying in LMMs and how people are answering questions there, and social listening. When I think of creative, how do we get more thoughtful in all the different ways in, not just one and done and the next topic, but what are the 5 different ways to tell the same story? And then when I think of engaging with customers, I think there's just a creative angle that makes us more fun than we might be alone. And that's my perspective. I think, again, other people on the space would have
depends on the role, right? And and their point of view. I mean, you know what's interesting? Just this morning, I was reading this Harvard Business Review paper. It was through Frances Fay. You know, she's amazing, and you know, in the work that she does. But anyway, I come across this Harvard Business Review piece on Shohei Ohtani, right? The baseball player, and it showed that he used this Harada method, which was when he was, I think, in high school. He wrote out like what was his goal, which is basically be like the #1 baseball player in the world, and then he drew this sort of box, and he's got all this methodical sort of like vision of like where I want to go and what are the daily habits that I need to go and do, and then he went to go and set specific milestones of what he wants to achieve at the different ages, like all the way from, again, I think he was, I want to say 17 or something, all the way till 42. Wow. And then it was funny. I was looking at my kids who are like, you know, I've got one in high school, and I'm like, hey, this is a great thing. And I'm actually going to give that to her. And I wonder if I'm going to get an eye roll or like, no, this is cool. But anyway, so he maps this out. So anyway, Francis says, don't use AI for this. Actually sit with it first. Sit with the ambiguity first. And I thought that that was an interesting point of view, which is, we're not saying don't use the models, use the models, but sit in the ambiguity. And I feel like that is what, when you want to fill this out for yourself, is to say, well, what do I want? And what's my chart going to look like? She says, sit with the ambiguity, because that's going to help you think about what you really want. Then you can use the models to help you get there. So I just thought that that was interesting as a counterbalance to the whole speed and efficiency thing, is actually sit in it for a minute to like get curious, get creative, right? And I thought that was an interesting thing that she had said. But anyway, yeah. And I'm an Ohtani fan, but yeah, that was a cool thing that actually just came out. Actually, you know what? We can even, if it's publicly available, drop it in the show notes too and share it with you. But
that would be awesome.
But yeah, it depends on the perspective. I totally hear you.
I'd love to know what your kids think of AI. Are they fans?
Oh,
I have 2 kids, one in high school, one in college, and they're not where I'm at with this at all.
Yeah, it's I think it also depends on the day. I think sometimes some days they get a little frustrated with it, but what we actually did as like an exercise, and my kids will probably look back at this and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you ran these experiments on us. But we got them to actually build some custom GPTs, and we said, hey, here's sort of the framework of like, what do you want it to do? And so they're having fun with it. And my son particularly likes to like build these different things. And I actually built him one as a bit of a test, and then I had it say on every message, oh, your dad's actually kind of cool, right? Like in talking Gen Alpha slang. He's like, why is it doing that? I said, I have no idea. It's just like, it's just so smart. But my daughter is a little bit more fearful that, you know, even if you use it as brainstorming, it's somehow, because the way she writes is almost a bit similar to chat. And so she's just more fearful of it. So I don't know. It depends. Well, we're kind of on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. And the environment piece comes up a lot at our house. And so
yeah,
just the energy.
Yeah, 100%. There's other implications, right? So, but yeah, we'll see. I was going to ask you, when we think about social and we're pumping in all this content that is maybe in part or fully AI generated, depending on the workflow. Do you think that brands need to be upfront with that and say this is AI generated? Like what level of transparency do you think we need? And or will at some point everything will be in part AI generated, so it almost becomes like everything gets labeled? I don't know. What do you think on that?
I think it's very gray. There's black and white, and then there's the gray in the between.
Yes.
So would you say just because the AI helped me create that idea for that post, it was generated by AI? And do I have to say that?
Right.
I don't think that. I think for me, it's way more on the imagery. Yeah. It is an AI generated image or video. I would love to see a watermark. A very prominent, clear, or whatever, however, where people know to expect it and can look and reference it. I don't ever, and like you see it all the time, and I get tricked all the time. My kids are like, "Mom, that's AI."
Because it's so real.
I did it. Yeah. And once I shared something that was AI, and I'm mortified that I didn't know, and I shared it in social, and this is my job, and I'm the junkie at the house, and I can't tell the difference. And so that was really embarrassing, and I don't like that. Yeah. So I think from a visual, I think that should be a requirement no matter what, forevermore. But yeah, I think it's helping you with the copy, whatever, with the content. I don't really care with the measurement, with all the other pieces of it. It just is, of course, it should be expected more than, and if you're not using it, why are you not? It's almost like, I mean, and companies now, if you're not doing AI, then you're going to be in trouble for your job. Yeah. So it is encouraged in a big way. So I don't think that would make sense for everything, but I do think the watermark on the images and video will be awesome. Yeah.
Well, because then I think that people, at least, I think at least they know there's a comfort with it, right? And it doesn't mean they won't engage just because it's AI. Like I'll give you an example. For one of our clients, we had built a call down agent called Telly that will call down to a set of customers and qualify and actually book meetings on behalf of sales teams. And I remember the first conversation, which was with the sales team, they're going, "Wait, I'm sorry, what are you doing? You're going to call the," and you know, we let them know, like, look, I mean, not any of your existing contacts, but what about all those ones that are marketing qualified leads that you're being asked to reach out to because they're reaching sales qualification and you're not doing it because we know you're not doing it. And so they're like, okay, fine. Yeah, do that. And what we ended up finding out was that, and we did the AI disclosures up front. We said, hey, I'm an AI agent. And we plugged into a database to know that, like, let's say if it was, you know, calling me and says, "Hey, Andrew, you know, this so-and-so, it's calling from Tech Edge. We want to talk to you about this. By the way, I know you usually deal with Kelly. I'm actually Kelly's AI assistant. And are you okay if we keep chatting?" And more often than not, people were almost intrigued by that. They're like, "Oh, okay." But we were transparent. So transparent doesn't necessarily mean lower engagement. So, but we were calling obviously IT folks and some business folks. So I don't know, maybe in a consumer perspective, I don't know if that would be different, but that was just one observation. So being transparent. Good.
Yeah, no. And I heard somebody even say it was transparent, but the conversation was so good they had with the AI, they actually liked it. And they felt weird that they liked it so much because they knew it was a bot.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a whole nother topic, but
so I guess if you, and I know you're busy, so I'll ask you one last question here, is that if you could write a rule for how AI should be used in social, and you could maybe program that into the models, what would it be? What would you write as a rule? Either you put it in the model or other social teams would follow suit. What would be the Kelly rule for social? Yeah.
To be useful.
Yes.
That with my time.
Yes.
Or be entertaining.
Add the fun.
or be transparent, and or it should be all, you know. Yeah. I want to trust it. I want to get something out of it, or I want to be entertained. So that would be my role.
I love it. That's a great note to end on. This has been, speaking of fun, this has been a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you for coming on. And I would love to again check in with you in the next couple quarters to see how is this changing, right? So this is sort of like timestamp. Let's see. First, we're sitting in January in 2026. We'll see what happens, right, over the next like 3, 6, 12 months, and where we are, and new capabilities and new models and new everything else. So
that'd be awesome.
Yeah. But thanks for joining us, Kelly. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. This was great. I really appreciate it, you guys.